Good evening. At this time, I would like to entertain a motion to make Trustee McLaughlin the Mayor Pro Temp for this meeting as Mayor Ryan is absent. Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, at this point in time, I would like to call this village committee meeting to order. Today is Monday, December 13th, 2021, and the time is 7:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Trustee Dalzell is absent this evening. Trustee Juarez?
Here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Trustee Navas-Barza?
Here.
Trustee Peretta?
Here.
Mayor Ryan is also absent this evening, and we have a quorum.
All right, at this point in time, I would like to dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance since we did that at the 7 o'clock meeting. So at this point in time, we will go on to Mayor's report. And since the Mayor is not with us this evening, he did not leave me any specific report information. So we will go on to you, Clerk Hardy.
Thank you. I have the presentation of the October 2021 motor fuel allotment in the amount of $61,391.79, the presentation of the December 6th, 2021 board meeting minutes, and a brief discussion on the 2022 board meeting and committee meeting schedule. I put the calendar, if we mocked what we did this year for next year, in the packet. So what just needs to be decided, are we celebrating the same holidays last year on Tuesdays that we did this year, like Martin Luther King Day, President's Day, and Columbus Day, which aren't technical holidays that the village is closed, but they were observed as far as meetings go, and those meetings were on Tuesdays. Also, wanted to bring up the federal holiday of Juneteenth. Is that something that wants to be considered to be observed? Just kind of want to get your thoughts. And then the summer months, do we want to go back to 3 meetings in those months? I think it was June, July, and August, I believe. Yes, June, July, and August. We did 2 board meetings and 1 committee meeting in those months. So any of your input, and then we can vote on it next week, but just kind of wanted to feel out what you guys wanted to do.
I would be in favor of the 3 months of 3 meetings
In the summer one?
in the summer.
Okay. I agree.
Yes, as well.
Okay.
I think that's a unanimous
Okay.
for the summer only.
All right, so I will update the 2022 calendar for that. As far as the holidays that we observe on Mondays, even though the village is still open, but we have our meetings on Tuesdays, do we want to stick with it this year as well, or have those meetings on those Mondays? Again, it was Martin Luther King, which is January 18th, President's Day, which is February 22nd, and Columbus Day, which is October 11th. And then we have, if added, Juneteenth, which is June 19th. But then that would only leave us with,
Yeah, we'd
we'd have to move
a hard
that
time in
meeting to a
June, yeah.
Tuesday. Right. Because that would be our second board meeting that month. So that would move to a Tuesday if we did it that way.
I mean, I know overall, I understand, I mean, it was the mayor's request that we do the federal holidays. I mean, just personally, it's like if the village hall was open, I see no reason to be moving the dates, but
Because on those holidays where we observe those Mondays, the clerk's office is not open late on those Tuesdays. When we would have our meetings on Tuesdays, they're still open late on Monday per their contract. So when we hold our meetings on those Tuesdays, they're closed at 4, so they are not open when we're here. If we wanted to, make sure we were here, if somebody came to meetings and needed the clerk's office for something.
If they're here anyway, why not just keep it on Monday?
That's what I'm suggesting, if you guys want to not observe them on those Tuesdays and still have them on those Mondays, because it's
on
not
Monday.
a closed village holiday.
I say we keep it on Monday. I say we keep it on Monday.
I mean, we would still, Memorial Day, July 4th,
Right.
Labor Day, because those
Yeah,
are
Memorial
on
Day, Independence Day, and Labor Day would still be observed on those Tuesdays.
I'd
and
be in
not on
favor of
Monday.
that.
Okay. What about you guys?
I agree. If the village is open on...
Have them on Mondays?
On Monday, why not have the meeting on Monday?
Okay. But on the close, when they're closed,
Move it
have it
to
on the
Move it to
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
I agree.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And then the last thing is just the Juneteenth. Do we want to discuss that? Take it off the table? It is now considered a federal holiday. That's why I'm asking. The village would be
Again, if the-
open.
Is the village going to be open that day?
The village, my understanding is the village would be open, but I am not positive. Some municipalities are not open. I am not sure what,
I think if
Alsip
we're
are gonna
open, we
do.
should be here.
Yes.
so I can talk to the mayor and see, because I'm not sure in the union contracts how that works. So I can find that out, and I can talk to Erica. She's off the rest of the week, but I'll find out more about that for next week, and we can discuss Juneteenth later, but the rest of the stuff, I will amend this calendar. And that is all I had.
Okay, so we have no attorney this evening and no engineer. So at this point in time, we'll move on to public forum. And at this point in time, all I see are friendly employee faces. Do you guys have anything you want to say? All right, then we will move on to standing committee reports and move us to beginning with finance. Under finance, first I will have a list of payroll and accounts payable for approval next week. And then next, Joyce is asking us to review the finance associate job description change. And the only thing I really noticed is you were changing the degree requirements.
No, that's not all that I changed.
Oh, okay.
I actually upped the requirements for the position. In the general purpose, the very last sentence, this position will also serve as backup for the AP and payroll clerk and staff accountant. Yes, I did change that the requirement was a bachelor's degree.
Well, you changed it to bachelor's degree or equivalent. I don't believe we had the or equivalent before.
Correct.
And what's the salary for this position? If I don't recall.
51,285, I believe, don't count me on the change there. It's 51,000 plus.
And since you're lowering the requirements, I'm suspecting because of just the recruitment and the retention. And in regards to salary, now with the great resignation that we're kind of living post or during the pandemic and so forth, and people do want a living wage and so forth, what have you seen in regards to salary ranges for a finance associate?
55 to 60.
Okay. And, I guess that when I did see the salary requirement at first, when we discussed this position before, it was a bit low. In my opinion, also having worked in higher education, with a bachelor's degree in the Chicago metro area, I think that is an acceptable range of 55 to 60. So I'm not sure if the board, or for you, would be in line with or in favor of supporting an increase as well, or if that's an appropriate discussion to have at this time in regards to recruiting talent for the position. I would be in favor of it. I would just be vocal. And I would be supportive of a $55,000 to $60,000 range for this position as well.
You're going to find, I'm
And
sorry.
I will say I'm just as vocal in keeping it where it's at. I also know as the parent of somebody who's about to graduate with an accounting degree, I know that the going rate at this point in time is right in the 50 to 52 range for somebody coming out of school with no experience. And yes, we may be in the greater Chicago metro area, but the suburbs pay considerably less than what downtown Chicago would pay because the cost of living is less.
And when this position was originally defined and set up, the requirements for this position certainly did not contain the ability to do accounts payable and payroll and also act as the staff accountant. So I think the upping of the role responsibilities almost adds to the pay.
Except the going rate for accounts payable is lower.
This person is not just being an accounts payable clerk,
No, I
nor are they being
understand.
just a staff accountant. They are holding many roles and many hats. So I think that recognition of the fact that they do that, if you want to retain somebody, you want to pay them enough to retain them. If you don't want to retain them, then don't pay them anything. I mean, that's just how it works. So if you want to pay them low wages, then don't expect them to be around long. And we'll put a whole lot of time and money into them to train them to do the things we need them to do, and then they will leave.
Joyce, how do our benefits compare to the private sector?
Our benefits are outstanding.
They're considerably higher than what you would find in the private.
So isn't that kind of a balance?
Well, I don't know. Benefits don't pay the electricity bill
Or mortgage,
or mortgage.
when you're trying to enter into
But
this market.
when you're deducting those huge amounts to cover those things out of your paycheck, then in a way they do.
You just don't go to the doctor. If you don't have the benefits, you don't go to the doctor. That's just what it boils down to. That's what real life is like. That's what the private world is like. When you have the benefits, you do go to the doctor. But it still doesn't pay the electric bill or keep the lights on. So cash is how you talk. Think about your own jobs. If somebody offered you $20,000 a year but gave you free health care, would you take it?
Probably not.
I will admit, I took a huge pay cut in my current position because of the difference in the healthcare costs.
Well, 1 out of 5.
I mean, we've all made our own personal decisions, but I think what the current market is dictating, I think employees do want living wages. And so, again, like I mentioned, we're in a great resignation, so there is a shortage that many organizations in the private and public are also facing in regards to recruiting and retaining talent. And so if it's a needed position as well, how are we being proactive and leveraging our resources to not waste money? To your point, where we hire someone, we train them, and they use this as a stepping stone to then secure a different role within a year.
Exactly.
And we start all over the cycle of trying to recruit, train, and then just keep going and going. So I think I would be, again, in favor of a 55 to 60,000 range.
Does anybody else have any input on that topic? Okay, then we can move on to the review and demo of Dude Solutions.
How do I join them? Admit. Accept as. Thank you. Gentlemen, are you with us? Hold on. Hi, William.
Hello, hello. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah. I'm going to try to turn the volume up. Where am I at?
You let us know.
Ah, that's it.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I know, it works very well. Our $50 spark plug fix works great.
We did it!
We did it. Okay, so I'm sorry we don't want to use a lot of time tonight, William. So in particular, what I'd like to talk about is the changes that you made to the agreement.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah.
I'm going to let you take off with it.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So, simply put, what I did was I took the 4-month term that aligns with your fiscal year so that you can begin in January. And I just gave you a 4-month concession, which means that you will have a 0 software cost until you renew. And then when your renewal begins, or you're aligning with your fiscal year, it'll be the amount that's on there, which is $20,800. And at this point, the only fee that you would have would pertain to the services that we provide to help get the teams implemented and get started. And that is the one-time $1,600 implementation fee and the services that are rendered for all the training. And that does not come up immediately. It does not come up immediately. That is once services are rendered.
But that's in the neighborhood of $7,000 to $10,000.
Yep. So you'll see that there's two different proposals. There's one that has stormwater and the water and wastewater distribution on there. That aligns with what ARPA is asking for, and with the other communities that we're working with. That includes we have communities in Wisconsin, Texas, and everyone else. They wanted to split it for auditing purposes, all the other potential things that they need to track, and whether that's streams or facilities or things like that, and those would be separate from the proposal that falls under ARPA. So,
Can I?
you can say something?
Yes, could I please? Hey, you can see and you can hear. That's wonderful.
Please get for it.
Big difference. And I'll bring this up again. This particular piece of software can be paid with our ARPA funds. That's for the 3 years that we have ARPA funds. It's not, of course, indefinite. So the ARPA funds are from the American Rescue Plan that was passed in March. We got 1.2, 1.4, 1.5 million. We just got another $1,300 in. We got 1.5 million. We'll get another 1.5 million next spring, next May. So that's what William's talking about with being able to use the funds to pay for this software. And William, I actually like the idea of being able to split out what's ARPA available and what's not. Because I was looking at this being an all-inclusive solution for facilities, for water, for public works. Understand that the ARPA money can only be used for water and sewer. We aren't going to do broadband, obviously. And so that's what the money could be used for with this software, is for the water and the sewer. If we include facilities in this, the ARPA money cannot be used towards that. So we would have to use money that we've already budgeted for this software. We budgeted $13,000 this year.
But we already have a contractor performing our water and sewer and billing services, so
This has nothing to do with billing.
then what are we doing?
Work order processing. So this is so that this will tie into our website. This will tie into everybody's, and you guys can come up and talk because you guys know more about how this works in the background. Come on.
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
Show them what you do, William. Show them what you
Oh,
do.
that would be our pleasure. So, yeah, for context, everyone, I've been working with Mike, I've been working with Joyce. What we're looking to achieve with the community is helping you get into place a way of maintaining your future infrastructure investments and what we call asset management. So when I was talking to Mike, Joyce, a lot of things that came up was accountability, responsiveness to citizens, providing transparency between the divisions, and that's where we come in with our solution and help bridge those gaps. So actually what I love to do is just hand it over to Chris, and we'll give you a bird's eye view of what it looks like from the operations standpoint as they see what's coming in and how they'll deal with it and be able to track what they're doing and give you future insight into their operations, whether that's the cost of work or understanding the where, when, and why things are being done so that it makes budgeting easier. But I could keep going. I'd much rather get handed over to Chris and just allow him to show it to me.
And it looks like sharing is disabled here, so we may need to enable it for your side there.
I need to enable sharing.
Yeah, when I try to share
Right
my
there.
screen, it says host disabled participant screen sharing. You may be able to right click on my name and allow it. There's a few different ways. There we go.
Okay,
All right, so I just shared out my screen with you. Are you able to see the map that's up right now?
Yes.
All right, so from just a high-level perspective here, the name of this tool is Asset Essentials, and the key components that you'll be able to track and utilize across all of the different divisions that you've been discussing, you'll see along the left navigation here. Everything from work orders to your planned or preventative scheduled maintenance, citizen requests can be taken into account, your assets, right? And this incorporates onto the map here that I have up as well. The icons that you see right now, anything from different inspections or work orders that we've done around the area. If we zoom in, we can see a cluster on this particular road. It looks like Academy Street. So we're able to see what was going on, when it occurred, any sort of trends going on in the area. But when we bring assets into account, a good example on the map would be utilizing the GIS layers that you have to track infrastructure. Right, so it could be anything from streets, sewer lines, hydrants, and valves are common. So now not only are we seeing the infrastructure that we know we have, but we're tracking the work that we're doing in relation to it. And once we do this in this one centralized location, it opens up a lot of avenues for tracking things like total cost of ownership. How much are we spending on hydrants, lines, streets, mechanical equipment, fleet vehicles? We can track the work we're doing, the scheduled maintenance that we have, how long it takes us. That's how we can really start figuring out, all right, is it time to repair or is it time to replace? And obviously very high level, just throwing some context out at you there, but please feel free to ask questions. I know we have some limited time, so,
Chris, can you show them how it interfaces with the public and how the public can interface with this?
Absolutely. So I'm actually just going to change tabs to us up here for us in the upper left. And this is our citizen request portal. You'll actually notice the screen's going to change. The map's going to locate to where I am. All right, so now the blue dot that you see is where I'm currently sitting. So this is simply a link that we add to your website. They can do this from a mobile device if they're out and about in a park or out in public. All we need them to do is drop a pin where they see an issue and create a request for us. You choose what categories they have access to. I try to keep it pretty generic. There's a lot more categories on the back end, but I try to keep this easy for the public. Select the category, give me a description, take a picture. Once they submit that request, they'll get a confirmation number. And they'll also receive email notifications as the status of that work request is changed all the way through completion. And you can see this play out really well when we're talking about trends and things not falling through the cracks and figuring out where we're doing things on a regular basis. I'm going to shift away. We were right here in this park, right near this residential neighborhood. Let's look at everything we've done over time. So when I shift back to our version of the map here, we'll go ahead and clean it up a little bit. But now we could actually just do an address search. So if I do an address search right near where that park was, we just submitted the request. There's our residential area. Here's our park. So I can literally come in here and say, show me what the citizens have been reporting. You can see the vast majority of the requests we get are coming in through that citizen portal from a few screens ago. That's just the start. We can filter from here. If the focus of the conversation is how we're going to be using some of this upcoming infrastructure funding, maybe we're focusing on pavement. Maybe that's the discussion. So I can filter out everything else and just look at the streets work we've done around the area. Or if I'm looking at particular date ranges, I can filter and only look at the time frame, maybe post-storm. That's a popular one I see when we want to evaluate, all right, post-storm, How many different work orders have we done? How many requests came in from citizens to clear debris and whatnot? This is a great, I would say, fairly more modern approach than just having a list of things we've done.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to let Dan talk for just a moment. He's going to get cookies for Christmas. The other two are going to get lumps of coal.
Well, I think, obviously, he's explained exactly what the software will do for us, but basically it's moving us from, dispatching our crews, with requests from our residents, printing it up on a piece of paper, handing it to crews, letting them do the work, that paper being passed back and forth between crews and supervisors, then eventually getting back to the customer as to what the result of the issue was and any resolution. Where this is all going to be automated and tracked, real time.
So since we're replacing the paper, then would staff need to have like a tablet or something? Okay. It has like a dollar amount been assigned to?
We have tablets already.
Okay.
For our people.
Okay.
And it could be used on their personal devices as well if they choose to.
Okay.
Also, Dan, can you speak about the history and being able to keep the history?
Yeah, so basically for me, one of the questions I asked these gentlemen was whether or not they can import our current data sets, so like for me, for water main breaks, I have an Excel spreadsheet that I collect, reams of data on all water main breaks. And so being able, for right now, I, submit that information to our GIS, consultants, and they can print up, put a map together for us. They'll be able to do that as well and keep that history here for us, going forward.
Nice.
And William, you can speak to that.
Yeah, going forward, when he documents where a water main break is, he'll be able to see any information that he wants to collect pertaining to it, whether that's how long did it take to repair it, how much did it cost, what inventory was pulled to make the replacement. And he'll have a visual view in an inventory or like a registry view of where work is being done.
Well, what we're most concerned with is, how far back do you go, Dan?
I have probably 20, 30 years of data. But
Right. I mean, it goes back quite a bit of history because obviously some of these lines are pretty old. And so we want to be able to keep that in this system, and I know we had talked about that before.
Most definitely. And so actually, Chris has got a great example here. Any information that's currently residing within your GIS on the history of that piece of equipment or linear infrastructure, it is all going to show up within the system so that you can see make, diameter, composition, whatever those are for it. And then another option that we have is, of course, tying your Excel history to the actual asset. And that is something that will give you a way of clicking in and seeing what was done, where, when, and why on that asset. So we have a couple different ways to skin out. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns or issues?
Just with reports, do you have a sample of like a report that is generated, or how that looks like? Is it just Excel, or is it like, I guess like a more like a reader-friendly version? That would just be my question.
And there's a few different reporting methods here, depending on what, I guess what the conversation is looking for typically determines the reporting method that I would recommend.
Okay.
You have your reports internally built into the pages. So if I'm looking for like asset-specific reports, I can always pull those Excel-style PDF reports directly out of the platform. But this investment also includes our analytics tool as well. So this is a layer that's sitting over the top of the platform. So simply using this generates these dashboards around 7 a.m. Eastern Time every morning. So in this case, I'm just looking at a simple workforce overview. I can pick my teams. Maybe if I'm just looking at roads, see all the metrics will start to change. Maybe I just just want to see how long it took us to complete a pavement-related work order last month. 25 days.
Perfect, thank
Go from there. You want to categorize drainage, structural, whatever categories are relevant to you that you're utilizing. All of that can now be taken into account and filtered. There's a number of different metrics that you can get directly from this analytics tool, export out, or just simply generate a link if you want to share this with others.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I like it. I think we need something like that.
Ditto.
This also gives us an opportunity. This is more of an asset capture, much larger than what I had in mind, because I wasn't going to the sewer line and public works and water and everything else. I was basically worried about the buildings and the vehicles and so forth. This encompasses everything. We can put the vehicles in here. It also keeps you on schedule with oil changes. All the maintenance, new tires, all that kind of stuff can be put in this. So everybody can use this.
It's a little more sophisticated than the work order system that I'm more familiar with, which is called Net Facilities, but this is a little more elaborate, and it's great. That's
It's
good.
got a lot of pluses to it, I think.
Yeah. That's good.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Chris and William, I think that'll do for tonight.
Well, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
We'll be voting on this next week, so we'll let you know how that goes.
Wonderful. Hey, take care, everyone, okay?
Thank you. Good. Have a good
Thank you.
evening. Thank you all for that time. I appreciate it. I think it's a worthwhile product. Can I move on?
Yes, we are now on to the OPEB update.
Okay. Hold on. So I received the Skokie. They just implemented their OPEB trust in April of this year. So their documents are fairly recent. Downers Grove is a comparison to that and how they've defined it and set it up. Joe and I will be discussing that. Joe has got both copies of Downers Grove and Skokie. I did include in this packet from California. This was an investment or an OPEB trust that was set up and the steps that they went through. And I just thought it was interesting on the back page, the things that you have to think about. You have to adopt a resolution establishing a retirement board. You have to appoint members to that retirement board. You have to adopt a resolution approving the trust agreement. That one seems like the simple part. And then you have to authorize submission of a letter ruling request to the IRS. This is costly. I haven't got an exact figure on this yet, but it is going to be probably in the $20,000 range to get an IRS determination. What I've read about so far is that you do it after the trust is established, because what can you tell the IRS if you don't have it established yet? And so it basically, you have to submit with the IRS to get a determination letter that says that you are not for profit and you are not going to be paying taxes, because they would love to have you pay taxes on anything you earn on those investments. We don't want to do that. So that's going to be the costly part of this. I'm hoping it comes in below $20,000. We will just have to see. And then, of course, we have to get the whole thing started with the retirement board and them having meetings and them doing the investments. Are we going to have an advisor? Are we going to have a trustee over the whole thing? There's decisions to be made. I'm saying these words because I want you to hear them again and again, because they're going to be familiar with them. So I thought this was just kind of a nice little step through of what we have to do before we can go throw $16, $20 million at somebody. I would assume that we are going to have an advisor. I don't know that we want the board making the decisions about the investments. So I think that they need to have oversight, and they need to be able to say, I want 65% in, fixed assets or whatever, moving money. So anyway, that's just the beginnings and the high levels. There's all kinds of details that we have to get to about how the money gets to them on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis. Are they allowed to write checks? Are they going to take care of the health benefits for the retirees? Or are we going to bill them to reimburse us?
So Joyce, would this be like a financial planner of some firm?
We will need that, yes. Yes. Because these assets are going to grow, and we need someone that is savvy with that world, especially now. Now is a little different.
And how would we determine who that,
We're going to have to RFP for them.
okay.
I
That
would
be-
RFQ or RFP for them.
Isn't that a service, though?
It is
Where-
a service,
And it would
but
be
you want to have some choice, I would think,
based on their fee or their percentage?
based on fee, based on qualifications.
Okay.
I think that we pull some people in here to talk to us, let us know what they can do for us. Does anybody have any questions on that? Okay. Moving on. Scanning project quotes. I was requested to get some references on Datamation. Datamation, the two references that they provided is the Village of Willowbrook and Avalon Risk Management. Both of them spoke extremely highly of Datamation, that they go above and beyond what they are asked to do in their contract. Village of Willowbrook had a police officer that had done their scanning and putting their documents in Laserfish for years and years and years, and they didn't know how to find things. They didn't know where the things were, and so Datamation stepped up and got those documents for them and organized it for them. That was not a part of their contract. Avalon Risk Management just did a 92-box project. They're going to do a much bigger project next year, and they absolutely plan on using Datamation. I was very impressed with them. They're very thorough. They came here and did a walkthrough. They pulled boxes open and looked inside to see what the documents look like. They wrote down all kinds of information because we have some odd-shaped stuff out there from older days. They are going to hang on to our documents and shred the documents when we give them permission to. Once they've scanned the documents, we've reviewed the scans, and we've approved the scans, we're going to file for the destruction of those documents with the state of Illinois. Once we have that approval, then they're going to turn around and shred it. And that's a part of the cost that's included in the 50, I'm sorry. I think it's 52,000, 56,661. Does anyone have any questions about Datamation? This is for 300 boxes. This is basically the deadline I gave them was April 30th. So they have no problems with that. Obviously, it may take longer than that to get the shredding done because we'll file with the state. We don't know how long it's going to take for them to get back to us. We're probably going to do this on a monthly basis. Whatever they've done for a month, we're going to file for that to be destroyed. So it'll be a process that we go through.
Is that the total, Joyce? 300 boxes?
300 boxes,
Okay.
yes. I mean, that's a rough count because there's so much out there. It's a rough count. It'll get quite a big hole done. I would be willing to pay a few more dollars to get all of it done, but, I mean, for
Oh, that's what I
finance.
was asking. Is there a total of 300 boxes, or is there more?
We're overestimating
Okay.
on the 300, maybe slightly.
There's not 500?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Might be 286,
Gotcha. Okay.
It's close.
But I know, or I vaguely remember, I thought Trustee Dalzell had questions in terms of how this was going to interface with Laserfish.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Trustee Dalzell about that. I've talked to Brian about it also. I'm not quite sure what Trustee Dalzell's concerns are, because he was talking about bringing in, I think he thought we were going to be bringing in one big document, or that we were going to be, you can define these projects as far down as you want to. We could take those boxes and actually go down to the individual time card, we could go down to the individual invoice, and we could have them set up and scan that individual document. We're not doing that. We're going to do a box at a time. So we're going to have a document that's a box. How often are we going to have to go back to this? This is historical data. Yes, we may have to go back to it, and yeah, it may take us a little bit of time to look through it, but once it's loaded into Laserfish, it's OCR'd. So if we want to type in an invoice number, it'll search for it. So it's not that big a deal. Loading it in, that's what Laserfish does. That's its job. Brian loads between 4,000 and 5,000 documents a week into Laserfish. It's supposed to churn. It's supposed to do this work. So I think that's what Trustee Dalzell was concerned with.
I think he was also concerned about what format the data was going to come in, and was it going to be compatible with Laserfish, or how was it going to feed in?
It's a PDF, and Brian will feed it in, and he will generate the readable text, the searchable text. It will churn, because it's going to be a big document, which is fine. I don't care if it runs for 3 days. You know, that's fine. I mean, that's what Laserfish is for, is to be able to do that. Again, I'm not going to, these prices would go up astronomically if we went in and scanned each individual invoice and labeled it, this is Garvey's invoice number, blah, blah, blah. If we do the box at a time, historical data, how many times are we going to go back there? If we have to go back there, think of the microfiche, where you had to put the thing on the slide and you had to look around to see. That's kind of what we're going to probably be looking at. We're going to be able to search by invoice number. We're going to be able to search by amount. We're going to be able to search by vendor name. Those things are going to be available to us. It's just not going to be a nice, neat, you know, here's all the Garvey's invoices. You know, we aren't going to have that. It's going to be a box at a time. It's going to be a date range, which will help us. But I just kind of hated, and this was also, Datamation's kind of talked to me about this. If you go to granular, it's going to cost. If you go to a bulk situation, again, how many times you're going back to it, it's going to be a lot cheaper. And I think that's why we got the price that we got.
I think as long as you could search it by vendor number, or amount, I think that's all you really need, truthfully.
Laserfish will have much more than that. It'll have like the description of whatever's on that invoice. It's going to have searchable text. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be more than that, but the critical things are going to be like invoice number. In the payroll system, it's going to be like the employee name, employee number kind of thing.
Okay. Anybody have any other questions on that? Okay, then we can move on to the review of the third quarter sales tax information.
I threw this in here because I thought it was interesting. I want to keep you guys up on this. This is 20 and 21 comparison. I had somewhere. Significant difference between 20 and 21. If you just put them side by side and you look at the sales tax for general merchandise for 20, it was $26,768 for the third quarter. If you look at the third quarter for 21, it's $40,069. Big jump. So the totals, we're looking at 750,000, 600,000 difference in sales tax from 20 to 21. We're looking at 100,000 in municipal tax from 20 to 21, and we're looking at 150,000 in home rules tax from 20 to 21. So significant differences. The economy this year is much better, of course, than last year. But I wanted to keep you up to date on this. I thought it was interesting. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joyce. All right, we will move on then to fire. Trustee Murphy?
No report, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Police and Traffic Safety Committee?
No report.
Thank you. Public Works and Boat Launch, Trustee Juarez.
I have a presentation of the November 2021 Public Works Department monthly activity report. That's all.
All right, thank you. Water and sewer, trustee Navas Esparza.
Thank you. I have the presentation of the November 2021 Sewer and Water Department Monthly Activity Report, and that's all I have.
While we're on sewer and water, though, I just want a question for Dan. I know there's been a lot of resident complaints lately about the water smelling chlorine-ish.
I haven't heard a single one of those complaints.
Okay. I mean, is there anything in particular at this time of the year potentially that would cause that, or is it just...
So the chlorine residual requirements for the state of Illinois were increased the beginning of this year. And so the amount of chlorine that I'm required to have in the system is higher than it previously was. And so when we talk about getting out to the far reaches of our distribution system, in order to maintain that minimum amount, I do have to put more chlorine in there. But I've not heard any issues or complaints in our office or to my office at all with regards to chlorine smells.
So people aren't actually reaching out to you about it, they're
Not
just
at all.
complaining?
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
But your answer is that it's a state mandate and we are just complying with the state regulations?
Correct. And obviously, in the winter, it takes longer for the chlorine to dissipate. Summer, the heat will dissipate the chlorine smell more quickly. So it could be that's
It could be
the case
that,
if
yeah, all of a sudden it's cold.
Yep,
All right. No, that's very helpful. Thank you, Dan.
no problem.
I would just comment, it's just, residents, please contact the village and let the village know that if you have a concern about something, please contact the appropriate department. Or if not, the main office the clerk's office will direct you to the appropriate department to make your complaint. Because I didn't hear that either.
Thank you. All right. Building and health, trustee Peretta.
No report, thank you.
All right. Human resources and insurance, trustee Murphy.
No report tonight.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to special committee reports. Economic development, trustee Navas Esparza.
No report this evening.
All right, village properties, I have no report this evening. Ordinance and legislation, trustee Peretta.
No report?
Planning and zoning and licenses, trustee Juarez.
I have a presentation of a list of licenses dated November 29th, 2021 through December 10th, 2021. That's all.
All right, and at this time, do we have any presentations, petitions, or communications? Anybody, anything?
No.
Okay, any unfinished business? Any new business? Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to let everyone know that B&B Communications did their on-site review today for this phone system. I was pleasantly surprised when they said, "Oh, it doesn't look that bad." You saw the picture that Leon had put up over here, so it's kind of scary when you see all those wires. But they said that it's been kept very neatly and cleanly, so that it should not be an issue, and they don't see any problems. We're waiting on signatures right now on some documents. Once we have the signatures, we're going to order equipment. We're looking at a 6 to 8 week implementation. So,
Great. Okay, great. Anybody have anything else? Would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we will adjourn this meeting at 8:18 p.m. Thank you all.